Hello, this is Gerald Hilvaas. Let's have an investigation into a word which has a couple of meanings and that seems to be a bit contradictory or a bit too different, so that you cannot imagine that it can have just one go into an orientation in a setting that would translate this into positions, and movements. Because my theory is about letters that I have a foundation into a geometrical orientation, which can has also this aspect of balancing out the elements against each other in a way that it also almost goes automatically, in a way that once we recognize a certain element and we have to go to a next element, we make actually the least the path of least tension, so that we can go automatically to the next position or next direction. That's the way how we behave in the world. We take on a fixed position to start with, then we go into a quite defined direction that we think, okay, it's more or less that direction, so we go into that direction. And after a while, if we adapt more and more, we have already a sort of adaptation process going on, and this whole process of adaptation is then the end goal of anything that you want to say. So these three elements are actually enough to make an automatic adaptation to movements and to all the things that can be described towards anything that can be described with movements. So the first 9 letters are about fixed points in 3 dimensions. The next 3 letters about just the simple moves away from your normal view, which is then the higher dimensions of that makes you go away from where you started and you come in a timing process somewhere else. Or if there really is not just one movement or a certain describable movement of 1, 2, or 3 directions, but it's a whole set of movements that adapt as well, then we have actually the last category, where you have the adaptations process, the whole behavior being described with an extra 3 dimensions or 3 directions into two ways, actually, from what you actually act and how you behave towards what you need to do. So the counter effects and feedbacks are there as well. All these letters can be derived to these positions, and there is a logic behind it, why it is so, how we recognize them, also orally, how we can visualize them, and so on. But interesting for me is also, of course, you have to make some examples that also for me then are interesting, and slope is such a word. I also have the Dutch word slope, and I come to at least 4 different meanings that are expressed with this word, and that makes it interesting. So let's build it up. And let's first make a comparison to the letter P and B. Basically, the expression of P and B is almost from the same position, except that B is a bit more physical. It also has more physical power. P is almost like an after effect of the letter B, and it all has into the third as a position in the third position, but into the 2 different categories they are defined differently. If we define them, the letter B, into the realm of physicality, in the realm of space, it's actually at the edges, at the borders, and so we are. That's more or less the position from the fixed point of view. P is also then, of course, at the borders, but it's away from the borders, so it's pushed away. So the second category is always about delays, so I'm not focusing about my space here, but also about a space beyond it, a space that moved away, that has already moved away from my center points of focus, and that makes it different. I have this factor of away, of delay, that something has been delayed. I have the localization here, but I can also have to figure out these positions in various, let's say, materializations. I start with the starting points. Where can I find them? So the localization. If I want to have a bit more explanation, I will also add a form to make that more clear. So what is really be able to form from there, from this position onwards? We can translate this into a form. Or we can follow the movement, and of course then we'll see much more what is changing there. Or like in the third category, we see which is the frame that we are following and what kind of behavior that we are looking at. All these levels we can watch carefully as well from these letter positions onwards. But we always try to be simple. These are the localizations. It's enough to express them. Sometimes it's better to even express the forms as well. And of course, if it's about form, if it's and so on, of course I will make it even more clear. So the B and the P compared to form and the position, we have here the position into the first category is watching over a concentration of the starting points from space, from a space orientation in its 3 dimension with a steady point in the middle. We see that it has a diagonal sense of deviation, so it is pushed away from the center in that way. Within that same space, we can notice that. Different, it is actually almost the same thing in the letter P. It sounds the same. It's also having that kind of idea, but it's not just pushed away from the center, it's pushed away from the full picture of the spatial frame and going away from my normal starting points, away from the starting points towards a different starting point. So I'm going to already find out a new starting point or new space of orientation, and always it is connected with timing. And there I need not just one eye of concentration for where's my starting point, I need a second eye. Where shall I go to? Where is my, when I have this delay overcome, actually when I overcome this delay and I see where does it go to, then I see where it has been pushed towards. So that's the extra factor. The B is breaking open, but the P is pushed open towards a new limit, over its limits, and that's the difference between these two letters. I wanted to have I've explained this a bit better to you so that you really understand the difference between the B and the P. But you don't need the B, we only need the P in it. But it doesn't start with P, it does start with S. So where is the S located? It's in the last category. It's the last letter of the full system. It's also the most far away. It's about framing. It's about seeing what kind of feedback do we receive, so that once we pushed everything forward, like after the P, we pushed all these elements forward, and we see what's going on there. What kind of performance do we have? What kind of conditions do we have? How is the behavior there? Is the full picture of all these 9 letters. And the letter S is, what's also most far away, actually. That's also where it is not just close down before you, like in the starting points. Now this is about the ending points, almost like, now there it will end, there, that far away. There is actually, in this case, as a first letter, will be, as a localization, our starting point is then in a spatial sense. It will be far away. Start far away to localize it from a distance, from quite a far distance. And what I always have to it is not just the far away edges to have the frame, it also will have an effect on all of the other things within my range, within the physical range and within the timing range. It will have some effect upon me. That's the letter S basically explained, actually. Now the next letter is the letter L, so the letter L is from the first category. It's about localizations in space. You see that it's middle point. All what you can recognize in the first 9 letters is a localization to start from, a localization with also a formation process if you would like. And the letter L is about, yes, is expressible like all these 9 letters with points. ATK in 1 point, ULB in 2 points, CMX in 3 points, all in different variations that I have described many times before, also in my book as well. But the L is then, I have this middle point and I see that some form is coming forward. Then the next one is the next letter is the O, so we go from L to O. Let's have them separately first. So the O is in the second category, is about, yeah, it moved away from my focus and it's moved away via time. So with this regular sense, like it's going away from me in a horizontal sense. Is going away via time onto the time process. That's what I can see in the theory actually already. The O is then I start from my localization in my local space and time, and I look into what is going away via time, what is going to become different actually. What's the next stage, maybe where I'm going to land into? That will be the focus in O. The letter P now will also be about from the same category. Where will it lead to? Let's have the localization first. Localization is it goes away in a vertical sense. So here's the P, it goes away from me. Letter E, the same thing, it goes away from me into a vertical sense. So it's already going away into 3 different stages, into the 3 dimensions of it's going away towards a different stage and so on. It really jumps into the changing of states actually. In O, in timing, in P, in change itself, in A, in, yeah, coming to a different moment or a changed position as the A will be associated with easily. So, but of course we have already S and then the O, but I have to start actually everything from the letter S. It's not lope, it's a slope. So slope is starting from far away, so we have to start our focus actually in the far away, at the far away distance. So let's combine this now a bit better. So we have the S, the far away, which has an effect upon the form. So which I see, okay, I see how it will have a form where it takes shape, and then the elements which passes through time into the different changes as well. Very quickly done, and I could also have the pressure there as well into the form if I would really express that there as well. Sloop in the Dutch version, it has the double O and no E, so it is not so much associations with the letter E or the process of changes. No, it will be much more about it ends with P, so the pressure point there is focused upon it as the result. There will land the result. O is also, it will give us more time. There is a time process and I follow it up. So I follow it up, all the changes that are needed, the stages that are needed. The slope, the first meaning, is the pillowcase, which can easily be recognized from there if you realize how this pressure point is localized into its stages of changes in O. In this way, like, okay, I'm going to press it in, I'm going to press it into the the changes that are happening, and I will want to have the right effect there, focusing about the big thing, the big outside frame actually, that I'm going to push it in 2 stages until it's right. That's the pillowcase, and that fits to these letters actually quite well. The second meaning of the Dutch word, the slope, is also the past tense verb of to sneak. So you have this whole process of changes, of adapting and so on, as if you have given the time to sneak under, actually also sneak under, and see that you get to the stages that it gets you forward. So in that way, that you really have this physical sense in these forms, go underneath it. It's as if you go hidden underneath it, crawling under, almost like. A bit more difficult is the third option, also the demolition, which isn't immediately recognized, or is a bit less clear. But it's about, you start in wanting to have an effect into the form. You want to change something into the form. That's why S and then L with a follow up into the O, and then you just in one go into one follow-up process. Actually, you go to push not just under it, but also at the same time with it over it. Something is pushed over it, that the situation or the stages of situations are going to change from O to O. Something is going to be changed, essentially a change that you try to follow up as well. So that is a little bit less clear for the last association of demolition, but it's still that kind of follow up. So from localization to form to the whole set of behaviors, the more you are into the other level of like, how is this behavior completely described. I didn't give much time for it, but you can already recognize this, how slope also in these 3 ideas are visible. I didn't give much time for the English word. But what helps is, of course, some synonyms that you can see, okay, how is it associated, this slope, which ending with E really is focusing mostly upon what kind of time process do we have here, what kind of changes are happening here, especially from S onwards, what kind of behavior is actually going on in the background, so that you can really follow it up, see how it is pushed forward, see how it is changing during the whole time in that way. And you see here some synonyms as well. I hope these were clear enough to see the differences of slope into the different meanings, also in the 2 different languages, and how it is built up from letter to letter into a setting of geometry and changes of behavior in time and space, and how you can recognize that in positions and of course in form as well, if you like, and also as you want in behaviors. That's a theory about try to recognize these elements and see how you can build these elements. You don't need to look especially for just the locations or just the form or just the behavior. It's a combination of all these, and you can find out your way in it and try to recognize your way in it, so that you see what kind of behavior is expected when we express this word, and expected to understand from it and expected to behave towards it at certain points as well. Thanks again for watching. Bye.